Hello there. Hi, and I'm here to talk today about, antivirus. I've been asked basically to suggest what sort of antivirus would actually, well, be useful. There's quite a few options, and it's not necessarily obvious which one is the best to go for. In terms of main ones, ones that a lot of people have heard of would be McAfee, Norton, AVG, and there's also Windows Defender, which in the case of Windows Defender does, in the case of a new Windows machine, actually come with Windows already. Of course, Microsoft generally tends to be the butt of jokes in terms of reliability, so Windows Defender is not coming from a position of having a good reputation already, although independent testing more recently has actually said it's actually quite reliable. If we take a look at some examples, there's avtest.org is a site that does a lot of independent testing of various antivirus. Well-known ones, AVG, which is free for use for non-business purposes for a home market. That's already got them quite well received. And in terms of the actual tests, they were scored on the protection, which is obviously very important, how fast, and usability. And as we look at this list, AVG was 5.5 on the protection and a 6 on speed and usability. And with the more well-known McAfee, internet security was perfect scores all round, so was Norton. And Windows Defender now has a pretty good score. It's got top marks on protection, it's slightly less fast than the other options, but basically it's a pretty solid option. And with that in mind, you may wonder what particularly the others can offer. Nowadays, most of them have now refer to themselves as internet security rather than specifically antivirus because they, simply provide a lot more. Viruses are a specific category of malware, so really what you want is protection from not just viruses but spyware, adware, and also ransomware, which pretty much all of these antivirus options now do, as well as Windows Defender. The main things you can get from other internet security options is less well-known things such as protection against fake websites, although a lot of browsers also offer that as well. Of course, it's important with any antivirus to make sure it is updated as often as possible and make sure it's being run on a regular basis. It's not always actually obvious that a machine's infected. Viruses nowadays don't do anything to, or any of them are, they don't do anything to get your attention. They have in the past when basically being put there by a prankster who wants to show off that they can do it, but nowadays malware is more about actually making money by stealing data or such. I mean, ransomware is another version in which they encrypt data and then promise that they'll let you have it back if you pay a ransom. Of course, the problem there is, well, if you've ever seen a film and the hero makes a trade with a villain, you wonder what to stop the villain blasting the hero as soon as they got what they want. And with ransomware, that's the same thing. Once they got your payment, they might not actually get your data back. So you need to make sure you've got the protection there first to stop that happening. Which again, any internet security suite nowadays or Independent will do. I mean, in terms of the ransomware specifically, there was a while back the most well-known instance of that was the WannaCry incident, which leads to the question of, well, of making sure you do install updates. Updates don't actually appear to do anything visibly, which is why a lot of people ignore them. Updates being all about things, usually about things under the hood. You occasionally get updates that add new features, but they're quite rare. So that's, I mean, in the case of the WannaCry incident specifically, that was when the NHS had not updated some of their machines and they were still using XP a long time after it had actually stopped being supported. Microsoft likes to put out updates, but then eventually they are going to stop updating all their older systems and getting people onto, I'm trying to get people onto Windows 10. So a lot of people, I imagine, are wondering, is it worth upgrading to Windows 10 because you don't really want to upgrade to it and then go and then suddenly turn around and start trying to sell you Windows 11? Well, the useful thing about that is that there isn't going to be a Windows 11 because selling new versions of the operating systems was obviously a good business plan for a while, but the situation's changed with regards to all the other providers' operating systems like Android and Apple's offerings are all going on a new model of basically releasing updated versions but being the same operating system, and you don't buy new ones. So they're shifting how that works. So once you get Windows 10, you don't have to get another Windows operating system afterwards. You just have a newer version of the same one, and then you'll still have the same antivirus software. You can keep updating and keep things secure there. And there is one situation in which I would definitely say don't pay for certain antivirus software. Specifically, any form of antivirus software or anti-malware software that suddenly appears on your computer without you actually having done anything to install it. Yeah, that's another form of malware. There is actually fake antivirus programs that will suddenly appear on your computer and go, yeah, you've got lots of problems, there's a virus in the system, you need to pay us lots of money. And yeah, and some people unfortunately do fall for it. And paying the money will not get you anything, unfortunately, in those situations. Yeah, the thing to check there is if a antivirus program appears and you don't actually remember installing it yourself, well, if there's anyone else who's using the machine, check with them, see if they've installed anything, and if you find that no one's actually installed it, well, then if you can, on another machine, search actually for the name they provide, because you will likely be able to find instructions and find out if it's actually legitimate, because you don't want to fall for any scams. And then removing it, yeah, you can find instructions, or if you don't particularly know what you're doing in that case, and a lot of people would not, then it'd be useful to contact a professional to get it removed. A lot of the fake antivirus programs will, well, that is one case where they do actually obviously impede with the functionality of the computer, because they want to sell you the idea that you need to pay them the money, because, well, a good example of that I've seen is a program that would aggressively shut down most programs on the computer, making it impossible to do anything, and every time it shut down something, going, "You've got a virus, pay us and we'll fix it." Yeah, so that one was something that then becomes very urgently you need to fix. A lot of malware will be quite subtle in order to not get your attention. So, and I've seen a situation where there was a computer that the owner thought was clean, but when it got around to having antivirus put on it, and then actually went through the scanning, found it had over 50,000 viruses on it. Yeah, they hadn't scanned it for a while. Funny enough, the performance on that machine was not that good. Yeah. I mean, another useful thing to do with regards to protecting from malware, particularly in the case of ransomware, that is unusual in how destructive it will be to your data, because that's what they want you to pay to not have them do, is making sure you've got data reliably backed up, and make sure you've got a data backup that's then actually secure. General recommendation with data backups is 3 backups, 2 locations, 1 offline. That way, that protects from, well, any form of malware that would try and, if you've got malware on your computer, then if it does, in the case of the ransomware sort of thing, suddenly encrypt their data and such, then you've got a copy elsewhere offline that wasn't infected, that once you clean out the infection, you can restore lost data from. And if you've got any particular concerns about setting up data backups and want to make sure you've got that properly set up, then it's a good idea to contact an IT professional, and then you can sort out what exactly you would need. Depending on the forms of data backup, a reliable online backup could be restored to a machine in minutes, which is pretty good if you've got a lot of data you need to work with and something goes wrong, which could of course be ransomware as we discussed, but it's also useful in case there's a physical fault in your machine at some point. If a hard drive fails, you might not necessarily be able to actually successfully restore data off it. Sometimes you can, but you don't want to gamble with data. And of course, there's other things that could go wrong. A flood would be bad for your computer. However, problems on site that could happen. So that covers basically a lot of things about what sort of antivirus software you would need. Windows's default option is actually, compared to what it was like before, actually pretty good and will cover a lot of your needs. Actually, if we want to check the back in like June 2015, if we check that, then Windows Defender 4.7 has a rating of 0.5 out of 6, which is approximately the level of protection you associate with the company's internet browser is sometimes referred to as the best thing to download another browser with. Yeah. But Microsoft, let's be honest, has been doing a lot to improve its reputation, and so a lot of the big, well-known options, it's hard to go wrong with, really. Pretty much, if you were going to choose one, you'd be choosing them mostly for one of the other options for some of the other security features they might have. They've got various protections from things like someone snooping on your webcam or phishing attacks, where someone claims they're actually a business that needs you to tell them all your passwords, but they're not actually that person or representing that company at all. Okay, kind of leave that there now. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask, and I will answer them as soon as I can. Okay. Thank you all for watching. I will leave it there. No. Bye.